So, welcome to the show. This guy that needs no introduction, Mr. Steven McWhirter. How are you, Stephen? Are you well?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Rob?
The very best, man. Aye. Well, if anything, it's been a bit weird. We haven't been able to catch up on the grass like we normally have this year.
It's been a bit strange. The only grass I've seen is my back garden.
Yeah. That's it. So, how have you been coping with lockdown and all of this?
Do you want the honest answer?
Sure.
I've quite enjoyed it. I've actually really enjoyed it. It's usually so busy. We were supposed to have the concert this year, and between that and the competition season and travel, and it just was going to be hectic. So I went from that to nothing, and all the time in the world with my kids and Grace at home, and
yeah,
we had 7 or 8 weeks of great weather. It was brilliant.
So that's a lot of people have been saying that, just time to decompress more than anything else.
Yeah, it was great. The world just seemed to slow down completely, and a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was great. I took full advantage of the weather, my garden, and my barbecue.
Oh, nice. Oh, we'll have to chat about that later, of course. Yeah. So, Stephen, obviously I wanted to ask you about the concert. We were all sorts of excited for the up-and-coming show at the concert hall. Can you tell us yourself, how were preparations going for the concert before all of this lockdown?
Yeah, preparations were going well. We pretty much had the full concert finalised. Maybe a couple of sets we hadn't totally finished. But everything else was on the floor. We had a few rehearsals with backing musicians. They were all sorted on what they were going to be doing. Obviously, the drum corps were waiting until the backing guys had all their parts finalised before we put our percussion to it. Basically, just so there was no clashes. No clashes with them. But yeah, other than that, it was going in the right direction.
Happy days. I mean, we know you guys are pretty famous for your live shows. Was this going to be something you were excited to be involved in yourself?
Oh yeah, there was tons of new music, and some stuff that we had played before, but only maybe once or twice. Like maybe once in a medley somewhere along the line, and we never really played it again. So it was good to kind of revisit that stuff. Had a new fanfare on the go.
Oh, nice.
I would like to say it was finished, but it probably wouldn't have been finished until the night of the show.
You've been backstage on the pads, still learning it.
It's very possible. But no, it was going well. We had a new medley as well put together. So yeah, there was tons of music, and it was a shame that we didn't get to play it. But hopefully, it's obviously penciled in for next year. But hopefully, things are able to go ahead as normal, and we can play to a sold out audience. That would be great.
That's it.
I could come back after a season off.
Yeah, that's it, and work off the rust, I suppose. Yeah, but no, if anything, man, we are so excited to actually see this show. So we honestly can't wait. I have to say, for anyone watching this right now or listening, if you have tickets for the 2020 show, keep them, because they'll be honoured for next year. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So there you go. All right. So, Stephen, we do have some quite geeky questions to ask you related to the band. You know us, we're a piping show. So can you tell us then about band practices? How does a band practice look for your drum corps? You walk in through the door, 7 p.m. or whatever time you guys start. What does a band practice look like?
Well, I walk in at 7 p.m. Most other people walk in about 7:30, 8. No, it really depends on what time of the year, to be honest. I mean, the winter times, the drum corps only practice once a year. once a week usually from November till Easter, usually. Once a week on a Wednesday night. And then once a month, the guys from Northern Ireland will come over and we'll do a Saturday, Sunday practice.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, on a Wednesday night during the winter, it's really just getting through the stuff, the new material. We don't play the old sets until the weekend practices, really, when everybody's in. It's just getting through the new stuff, getting on the floor as early as possible. Just, you know, we could hand the score out, on a Monday, email it out, and we'll be on the floor with it, sight reading it on Wednesday night. Mainly just, we've always kind of done that, mainly just because it sounds totally different on pipes and drums than what it does on pad and chanter. Or whenever you sit down with a recording to write it. So that usually then highlights some changes that I'll go away and make, and some guys will have ideas, and we'll just keep tweaking the music between basically between November and Easter. There's tons of changes, tons and tons of changes. I feel sorry for new people that join the corps because it's so alien to most of them.
I think we were chatting to Fergus not too long ago, your bass drummer, and Fergus was telling us about the changes. He said you would learn the set 1 week and you would want to practice next week. He said, nah, the whole thing's changed. So that'd be something that's quite common, yeah.
Yeah, it's just everything's all the scores, all the music it's just an evolution. We just let it evolve naturally into. There's never really a rush to say that's it. That's the final product. It's the final product is the last time you play it at the Worlds. Like the final press on the CD.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that's something you're constantly looking at, then, Stephen, even throughout the season.
Yeah, we change stuff. We've made changes the week of the Worlds before. As a drum corps.
Yeah.
As a band, we've had some crazy things as well in the band. Like before the major in not Belfast, Lurgan last year, we took a reel out of the medley on the Thursday night, which totally changed the break to the next one.
Right.
Anyway, we drew that medley on the Saturday. But the way we look at it is, whenever you hear that in a competition environment, whether it's going to work. So you may as well just make the change and get on with it. And then if it works, great. If it doesn't, then you just go back to the drawing board and find another idea. But I think a lot of people try and get maybe the perfect medley from the start of the season, but I think it's very hard to do that. I think the more you play music, the more ideas come to you, and the more the more you hear bass and tenor a different way, or the more you hear dynamics changing, or even a break or whatever. So I think just being open-minded enough to allow it to evolve like that's good.
There you go. That's interesting, definitely. So, Stephen, can I ask then, well, you are a multiple world solo champion, and this year, 2020, we were hoping to have the world solos, but we've just read recently that they've pulled the plug for this year. I'm sure that's bound to be a big blow for, both for yourself, but all the rest of the competitors too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, part of me thinks it's a bit disappointing that it's not going on, and the RSPBA did work really hard to try and get them rescheduled for December, which was great. I know that was a massive undertaking, but obviously just they couldn't make that happen, unfortunately. But At the same time, because the season was cancelled, and I think part of me just resigned myself to a year off, which I was okay with. Part of me is okay with it, and then looking forward to just drawing a line under this year, and hopefully if things kind of go back to some kind of normal, we can go back next year. But disappointing, but not the first time. It's not the first time the solos were cancelled. I think maybe in 1999 the solos didn't take place in October, and they were moved to January, I think.
I remember that. Yeah, that was late 90s. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I think it was whenever. I think it was maybe something to do with the Premier sponsorship stopping, or I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But there was definitely a time when the solos moved.
That's it.
Kind of, I think.
So we've talked about your approach to band work and how it constantly evolves over time. Can I ask you about your solo work then? What sort of preparation on your work throughout the year would you be working on your solo stuff?
Quite a few years now. I've only played the world solos, but that's going to change, obviously, because of the qualifiers. So I'll probably be playing more at the start of the year than what I would have been. But usually I try not to look at any of the solo stuff throughout the year until till September time, start of September.
Yeah. Just
to try and keep it fresh, and so I'm not bored of playing it. But I mean, from the start of September, I'm kind of trying to get myself out of band mode and into solo mode. So I watch a lot of Netflix and lock myself in the drumming room here at home and practice. I do a lot of basic work on the pad. Just kind of getting the hands into like a bit more refined shape, I suppose. Lots of recordings, lots of videos, lots of WhatsApp messages back and forth on videos to a couple of people, and then about probably 3 or 4 weeks out, that's when I'm on the drum, like every day.
Every day. So how many hours would you put in? Yeah, a couple of hours, really?
A couple or 3 hours probably on the drum. And then, but I mean, that's spread throughout the day. I'm fortunate that I can play at work. I usually go into work early in the morning, and then play on my lunch break. A little bit after work to wait for the traffic to die down, and then I'll maybe go to Glasgow at night to play. Then I'll play with the piper usually about 2 weeks out from the solos. I'll just get together with Daniel on the weekend, Daniel McDermott, the Saturday or Sunday, and blast through it and blow the cobwebs off, because it's essentially a year since we played together. So then listen to the recordings. If there's any little tweaks need made, then I'll kind of work through those and move on, and then we'll get together the weekend before the solos, and then maybe twice the week of, or 3 times, depending on how it's going. I think if it's going well, you have to kind of know when to not play. Like I never play the day before the solos.
Really?
No, I've never.
Yeah.
I don't even lift my sticks. I try not to. No, I just use the Friday before, usually to see students and have a listen to other people.
Yeah, but there's no playing at all.
No, because I feel like if I take that day off, then when I get to the venue on the day, I'm excited to play, because I've not played. I've had a day off. You kind of feel a wee bit fresher. I've kind of always done that since I was a kid, coming to Scotland to play in the World Solos. So I just kind of stuck with it.
There you go. So, Stephen, it'd be fair to say there's no secret sauce to your success. It's just hard work. You have a whole regime there, practice regime, creative process. It just seems to be constant work that seems to be giving you a level of success. Would that be right?
Yeah, I think I've always kind of practiced the same way since I was a kid. I mean, obviously Adrian Hoy taught me in Collybackie, and he was a great leader by example, I would say. You know, he would, you know, I remember when I was a kid, he was taking like a week or 2 weeks off his work, and he was practicing every day before the World Solos. And I was like, oh, well, that's what you got to do to be really good. So
yeah,
it just made sense, right? And so I think because of that, he was quite disciplined in terms of practice. You know, you only get out of something what you put into it. He always said that, and it's funny whenever I say that to a kid now, I feel like, oh, you sound old now. But it's true, and I've kind of always had the same kind of structure. Like, I've always recorded myself. Obviously, videoing myself was a big thing. That just because I teach all the time, sometimes you find yourself saying all the right things, but you're maybe not always doing them. But to a student, it still looks better than what they can do. So sometimes I think you can develop bad habits teaching all the time. So I like to video myself to check in and make sure I'm not doing what I should be doing.
Not taking any shortcuts or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think having people that you trust as well, people's opinion that you trust, to send recordings to, that you're not, you know, that aren't going to just tell you, yeah, it sounds really good. You know, I've got a few people that saying, you know, aren't scared to say anything but that, you know. It's great. Like, honestly, it's good. You don't get better by just being told that you're great all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's not great all the time, no matter who you are. So yeah, I mean, I've never really been scared to listen to advice either. I mean, lots of people like to impart their advice on you. Sometimes you have to know what to take out of it for you.
Yeah.
I think if you listen to everybody's advice, it would wreck your head a wee bit. But I think taking out of it what works for you and what's going to benefit you is healthy. So
yeah.
That's what I try and do.
100%. So, Steven, over lockdown and everything, you've been teaching online. You've mentioned a few times that you are teaching and giving lessons and stuff. Is there something coming up now in the near future? Is the Rhythmic online workshop or something that you have coming up?
Sorry, yeah. So back in maybe March or April time, with all the hard lockdown, Eric McNeil from Florida, a good friend of mine, came up with the idea that we should run an online workshop, because he had been teaching quite a lot on Zoom. I'd never even heard of Zoom, so it was. So he organised the whole thing, and it was myself and Reed, Maxwell, Andrew Elliott on tenor, and Christina Hanks on bass.
Yeah.
So it went really well. It really was a success. And then lots of schools kind of followed suit on that idea, like Piping Hot Summer Drummer, the Inverarary School in New York. There's another school in Canada. They all followed that trend, and it works. It does work well, but it depends on, obviously it depends on your internet connection. If you live in the middle of nowhere with a bad internet connection, then it's not great. Generally, everybody was getting something out of it, and I think people were glad that it was a bit of a distraction and a bit of normality for them. So yeah, the demand was really high for another one. So we had a meeting, and we decided that because the World Solos wasn't going ahead, that would be a that'll be quite a good date to use. So, what is the date of it?
Well, I think it's wrong. It's either November, I think. Now I can't remember now.
It's October. I just
October,
know it's the weekend of the World Solos. It's the second last weekend in October.
I think that'll be it. Yeah, because then after that, normally it's Glenfiddich, which is the end of October. So
yeah,
that sounds about right to me.
24th and 25th of October.
There you go. See, we should remember these things, you know.
I know. It's going well. Demand was really high, so we were talking about extending the instructor roster, just because we were anticipating high numbers. So there was really only one. There was really only one option in the snare front. That was to bring Stephen Crichton in. So looking forward to having him on board. And in the tenor front, we're bringing Jordan Bailey in.
Jordan, yeah, brilliant.
So that's four snare instructors, 2 tenor and a bass. So I mean, it's really good. It's a different way of teaching, and it's a different way of being a student at a school. But there's still, information gets passed.
Yeah, that's it.
Student, so it's different, but it works. It does work. So hopefully, get your registrations in now.
There you are, a plug. So, Stephen, can I ask you then, obviously rolling into 2021, there's been talk about, having different formations, possibly, either scrapping the MSR, but I think that's kind of been, we're going to keep the MSR. There's been a lot of changes suggested for the incoming 2021 season. What do you think the future will be for piping and drumming next year?
There's been a lot of change discussed, yes, definitely. Yeah. The future for next year, I think, will be getting back on the grass and just getting a season, and
whatever form, yeah.
I think that's the first priority. I mean, there was changes discussed on a meeting with the RSPBA, but we did say that we would keep that to ourselves for now.
Oh, of course,
within the group. Unfortunately, some people didn't do that, and
Well, no, that's just what I was wondering. From a spectator point of view, for trying to keep people safe, but also for the bands folk as well. Do you think that'll be a big scene in 2021, or possibly reduced numbers? It's hard to know.
I don't know. I don't know. Was there not something released yesterday? You had shared something yesterday from the government about the new guidelines, like playing music and.
I see. This is the thing. The guidelines, they're changing so rapidly now. It's ridiculous, and that's one of the things we'll possibly, have to look at for next year. The guidelines could be okay one weekend and then completely different the next weekend.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the stumbling block, if truth be told. I mean, I work in the schools as well, and I had an email on maybe a couple of weeks ago on the Monday saying music instructors are allowed to come into school and work over 2 campuses.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the Wednesday, I was like, no, you're not allowed to do it anymore. We're back to what it was a week ago. So within 2 days, it completely it changed, and then it had changed completely back again. So it's I think it's a matter of waiting it out, and
that's just it. Seeing where the land lies whenever the season gets
taking it a day, even that's all you can really do right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, Stephen, you did mention barbecuing at the start of this. Can I ask you then, have you got any Steven McWhirter specials that you do in the barbecue then?
That's a difficult one, because We actually decided to try the vegetarian diet for a month.
Right, yeah.
But that was about 3 months ago. We're still doing it, so
Cool.
yeah, a lot of fish. We're still eating fish. So yeah, I like prawns and scallops and chili and cumin and garlic. It's good.
Oh, love all that. And on a barbecue too, that'd be even better.
Yeah, but if I was barbecuing meat, I was getting into marinating my chicken and beer and some spices. That's good. Corona is quite good on chicken.
There's the episode title right there.
Corona, but it's good.
So, Stephen, before I let you go, mate, there's a couple of Rab Show staples I need to ask you. We already know what your favourite cheese is. We've asked you that a million times. But pineapple on pizza, yes or no? Well, now you're kind of
Yes.
Vegetarian route. Yeah, yes. Oh, you're a savage. Really?
Believe it or not, I've actually had peach on pizza before.
Peach? Really? Wow. That's
In New Zealand.
Right.
Chicken and peach. That was good.
I have never heard of that. There you go. That's something for the podcast listeners. You can try that. Yeah. Also, what are your thoughts on yellow flashes? Are you a fan? Are you not a fan?
Yellow flashes?
Yeah, like I'm talking bright yellow.
Who wears yellow flashes?
Oh, I've seen some photographs and just thought, what are those?
That would be a hard no, I think.
Yeah. And also, we haven't asked you this question yet before, but throughout your career of drumming for all the length of the years you've been playing, what has been your most embarrassing moment on stage or playing with the band?
Oh, that's easy. That's Dumbarton 2011.
Okay.
Scottish Championships, first major of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Third bar of the march on the walk-in. Dropped the stick. It was absolutely teeming down that day.
Oh.
I'll never forget it. It was like slow motion. It was like a cartoon.
Oh, there it goes. Yeah.
Wow. And how I managed to get down and pick it up and get playing again without falling, because the grass was that was the really wet Dumbarton. It just rained from we got there till we left.
Aye.
Easily that's it. That is the most Dumbarton.
That's typical Dumbarton weather, though. It doesn't go down; it goes sideways.
I don't know.
Oh, amazing. Stephen, thank you, mate, for taking the time to chat to us here on the show. Really appreciate it. And please send our best wishes to everybody else in the band and to yourself, of course, as well.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on. Enjoyed it.
Cheers.
All right. All the best.